I will call the meeting to order at 7:05. Apologies for the slight delay. Board norms, let me run over those. That would be to maintain our focus, communicate respectfully, be present, keep the board productive and effective, and respect the agenda. We were definitely going to try to respect the agenda tonight and be a little more expedient than we were in our last meeting. Okay. Changes to the agenda. I'm going to add this to old business. We did receive the minutes for August shortly ago. I don't know if anybody has the ability to, or if everybody has the ability to pull that up and take a look. So I would like to add, approve the minutes of August 14th, 2023 as well to old business. Let's see, why don't we just call approved minutes of September 11th, 2023, A1, and approved minutes of August 14th, 2023, A2. Anybody else have any additional changes to the agenda?
You don't have the student report on there.
You actually do.
Oh, it's all its own separate thing. My bad.
It's
I just
always there.
wasn't looking in the right place.
And Lori Gorman has
always there.
her hand up.
Oh. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Al. I would like to just have a brief conversation about the food service and potential cafeteria tables.
Food service and cafeteria tables. Okay. Let's try to get you, can we tuck you in at the first of the new business so you don't have to stick around?
Love it.
All right. Food service.
Bob has
Food
his-
service and what?
Why do we have
Cafeteria tables.
stuff over there?
Cafeteria tables. Okay. Okay, great. Anything else?
And Bob has his hand up.
Is there any possibility we could reduce that,
I don't know
minimize
who
that?
has the Zoom on their computer, they have to open their Zoom.
Well, I was just gonna use this to show my presentation,
Oh,
but
and that's
it's
fine.
not
You can send
connected
it
to Zoom.
to her.
I did,
She
but
can
I don't know.
share.
This is, I just want you to be able to see it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
that's
much
fine.
care.
We just can't see anybody in the
This is just my
the
computer.
Zoom
But
audience.
they're not connected.
Oh.
Can we
Zoom's not
monitor
connected to
that?
that.
Not
And then
connected.
switch back to that.
Yeah, just
Zoom.
until we're all set, I guess until we need the presentation, we should probably hook up to Zoom at least.
Okay. So it should just,
And then if you email
It'll
it to
just
her,
take a
she can
second.
share screen.
yeah, I have. Okay.
You need to extend your display or duplicate it in your computer.
Can you come help me?
Al, while they're figuring that out, I just want to let you know, Greg had emailed me earlier in the day and that he has no update on the sprinkler system. He's not ready to report out on that at this point, so you can take that off the agenda for tonight.
Okay, great.
Yes, you may.
We will remove old business, old business C. Thank you.
Let's do more of that.
Yeah. Okay, can you folks, obviously you can hear us, we can hear you. Can you see us?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Let's just, if there's nothing else, let's move on to our student report.
Cool. We had a pep rally last Friday, which went really well, and that led into, we had 2 varsity games right afterwards at 4, and then that led right into October, which was a great way to have school spirit throughout the day. We had the pep rally going, games for October, just kept everyone around at school, kept everything going. Our sports teams are doing a solid okay this season. The girls are doing a little bit better than the boys. I don't know a whole lot about middle school sports. I think they're doing pretty well, and middle school cross country has been doing well, which is good to settle lead into a high school cross country team. Our theater department is going on with rehearsals for Mean Girls, which is the first weekend in November, I believe. And last meeting, me and Theo did a presentation to the whole board to talk about some issues that we were having, along with going to the cemetery. An update on that is we met with Mr. Quadro again, and he set us up to meet with a grief counselor, which about 10 members of our team did, along with Jess Landers. We met with this grief counselor who basically told us that this was a very healthy thing that we were doing. And if we weren't doing it, he might even recommend that we start doing it. And he said that there isn't necessarily an end date that this should end, because you can't put an end on grief. This is something that will continue to happen, and we're just grateful that Mr. Quadro set up that meeting for us and got us that resource. That's all I have. Do you have anything?
Pretty much covered it all.
Okay. Thanks, appreciate it. Correspondence. Do we have any correspondence? All right, hopefully we did. Let's move on to old business, starting with A1. We'll approve the minutes, entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 11th, 2023.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Peter, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 14th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Man, I can't even open these documents as fast.
What's that?
I said, I can't even open these documents as fast as we're going through them. You're doing great.
Keep going.
Keep going.
All right, approve the financials. Who has that for us?
All right. I'll make a motion to approve their handwritten number 22 and 24. Number 22, the voucher is for $263,669.09, and 24 is $287,868.20.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries unanimously. All right. Moving on to skipping over Leland and Gray Sprinkler. Long-term plan update. Bob, did we get anything back from Stevens and Associates?
No, we can just report out that Al, myself, met with Rod and Diane from Stevens Associates, and they are working on I guess a proposal on how to best spend the money that you guys voted on last time. So we will hopefully hear from them soon. I know they're also the ones that are working on the sprinkler design thing, so I think they're probably incredibly busy right now. So we don't have anything yet back from them.
I believe a part of that would be also visiting Newbrook and Jamaica, correct?
Yeah, they talked about the idea of because we had new ideas had been thrown out at the meeting last time that we wanted them to make sure all options were explored. So they were going to include site visits to both those locations as well.
Great. All right, thanks. And NEASC update.
There's going to be surveys going out to families about the schools in the district regarding a NEASC survey that they put out. That'll be happening sometime in the next month. And there'll be an all-staff meeting coming up soon with the NEASC people to talk about the process, so that all the staff in the West River district will be able to hear more detail about it from NEASC as well. And that's kind of all we're at right now. We're waiting on that to occur. And I think I mentioned last time, we have some co-chairs of the steering committee who have stepped up to agree to do that. Ashley Matson, Leland and Gray, and Shelley Bostrom from Newbrook are going to be the two co-chairs of the steering committee. But there'll be other members of the steering committee as well, including myself. I think Monica is on it, and I don't remember if Dana might be on it as well. So Yeah, so there's a bunch of people who are going to be representing that, teachers, administrators, staff as well. But those two people that I mentioned were the co-chairs. So we're excited to have them lead that work.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Lori. We got you at the top of new business, food service and cafeteria tables. I assume you'll
Yes, great.
also touch on the report that you sent.
Oh, sure, I can do that as well. So West River Food Service, I don't know if you remember, but in the summer, Jake put together giving out bags of groceries to like 400 families a week or every other week. And he actually made money on this because of the reimbursement. So he made between, final numbers are coming in, but somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000. And I think that last time I was talking to you about food service, I was telling you that we already have a pretty healthy fund balance that needs to be spent down because we're only allowed to carry 3 months worth of operating expenses. So the principals, I think the principals have talked with Greg about getting some new cafeteria tables for all of the schools in West River. So we'd like to use that surplus to do that. These are restricted funds. They have to be used to right back into the food service. So we feel that that is a really excellent way to invest in the schools by replacing many, if not all, in some cases, of the cafeteria tables. So I wanted to report out on that. Any thoughts, questions?
Good idea.
Do you need
Okay.
a motion? Because I'll make one.
Yeah,
Get it
right.
done.
Do we need a motion for that expenditure?
Well, you know, I love when you do that. So it gets in the minutes and
Let's do
it
that.
backs up what we're doing. These are restricted funds and they do have to be used for food service. So sure. Yeah, I would say up to 40,000 probably would be appropriate.
I make a motion to spend 40,000 on new cafeteria tables for all the schools in our district.
Up to 40,000?
Up to?
Yeah, that would be fun.
Up to 40,000.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Peter. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, well, Greg's already getting the quotes and things like that. So, and then the report I sent to you was the first profit and loss report for the year. It's really early yet. We don't have, you know, a lot of things have been encumbered for the year, but not everything has been. As I said in my email, the expenses are looking favorable.
Power on.
Sorry, I think my speaker went off.
Nope, we can still hear you.
You can.
Power on.
Sorry. So
Bluetooth pairing.
sorry. The
Bluetooth connected.
all right, there we go. I am connected. So at this point right now, like I said, it's early, but we have a couple positions that are still not filled. There was also a third position that hasn't been filled. It's been filled, but the person isn't starting until November, so that's coming as well. So was there any questions on that report that I can answer for anybody?
I just had a question on the positions that you had, because I heard that there's a high school English teacher position. Was that position filled?
I would have to say yes. I did ask HR this morning what the positions were that were open, and it was a counseling position and the library position.
I believe they filled, and Dana's in the meeting, he can speak to this, but I believe they filled it only with a part-time fill and had some internal shuffling to fill the rest of the gap, I believe is what they did.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome, thank you.
Stay connected. All right, moving on to our Journey Away presentation. Jessica.
Should I? I'm gonna give you all one of these, which is just a little packet of information about Journey Away. So you've got, take it home with you, read all about it. This is a draft, what I'm handing out is a draft of the project brief that I have sent over to the Vermont Community Fund. And they've shared it out with their philanthropic advisors, which will then go out into the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Two. So I'll just, where's the best place to stand? Here? Okay. So I just want to fill you all in on what we did last year for Journey Away. It's been about a year since I was here. And if you remember the last time I was here, I was with a group of students, including Eli White, to ask for some funds to put together a program that we did last spring, studying climate disasters in New York and New Orleans. So we went for 10 days and interviewed folks about their experience with climate disasters. We partnered with the Vermont Folklife. They gave us some tutorials on how to conduct oral histories, and then we went out into the world. We took the train from New Haven into Manhattan, where we stayed for a few days, and then we took the Amtrak train from New York City to New Orleans, which was very long and very fun, I think. I had fun. And then in New Orleans, we stayed in these pontoon cabins while we jumped around New Orleans and then down into the Delta outside the flood barrier to meet a boat captain and an educator to learn more about climate disasters and some of what Louisiana and New Orleans has done to mitigate these disasters. So we, like I said, we conducted 9 interviews. When we came back, we did a presentation at the Townsend Library, which was well attended, and the students did an incredible job of articulating themselves. It was a very, very proud moment. And we prepared our audio tour working with the Brattleboro Art Museum. And they really dropped the ball on us, which was incredibly disappointing. We showed up to the gallery for our opening and our work was not up as they had said it would be, which was, it was on their end. It had nothing to do with the caliber of our work. It was just disorganization on their part, which was a real disappointment. And I definitely lost some trust and faith in their desire. They can say they want to support the students of the area, but they didn't really show us that. So they'll have a chance to redeem themselves in the spring, and we're going to explore other avenues as well. So our audio tour is up back here. You can take a peek at it. I may leave before the meeting's over, but I think I might be able to leave it here and grab it early in the morning. So if you want to take a look, please do. We'll also try to get it up at the Moore Library in Newfane, and possibly make it a little tour that travels around the West River Valley. It's actually very sweet and compelling. We edited all of our hours and hours and hours and hours of audio down to about 10 minutes before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. And you can take a look at the photographs over there of each of the people we interviewed. We also, I just learned about this last week, there's a resident of Newfane that works for Eco America, and they offer these awards for climate action leaders, youth leaders, and they're awards for work that's already been done. So they're looking at this, or they want us to apply for this award with this climate disasters project. So that would be, the awards are anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. So that would be, if we were to win that award, we would just get that money back, which we would have over fundraised by about $15,000 if that were to happen. So that'd be cool. We're gonna look into it a little bit more. And it's very Vermont centric. Jane Fonda and Bill McKibben are on the board of this, and it's a national thing, but Jane Fonda lives in Putney, and Bill McKibben, of course, is in Burlington. So we've got Vermont on our side. So we'll see. It doesn't totally track, but it's still climate related. So so that's exciting. I just wanted to share this quick 1-minute testimonial from one of the students. Maybe you recognize this young woman. I'm just trying to stretch it out. Maybe this, you might just press play. Can you see her all right? Oh.
It really showed me this other side of me that I could be and that I wanted to be. And during the trip, instead of the people pushing that side of me away, like I feel like would have happened here, they sort of just accepted it and supported that I was that person. Like, I feel like this whole other side of me came out on that trip, and I got to take it back to Vermont with me, and I'm really happy that I did. And I feel like if I hadn't gotten that support from all of them, that it would have just stayed in New Orleans. But the last night on the pontoon cabin, especially when we were all going around talking about our favorite thing for the last time, we all cried together, and it was just so great. It was like you could feel the support and the love radiating in the group, because it was just such a special moment. And I know me personally, I'm not gonna forget that moment at all anytime soon. It was just so good.
So that's Hermione Fitzpatrick. She is maybe a second or third generation Leland and Grace student. And she'd never been to a city before. And we showed up in Midtown Manhattan, and she was like, holy smokes. And you could see her confidence just emerge throughout this whole trip. And it was 10 days, right? It was like short. We didn't even leave the United States. And like, to see the transformation in this one particular student is like incredible. And she now is like, is definitely a student leader here at the school, which is fantastic to see. And I'll say that about all of the students that have been participating in Journey Away. Their leadership capabilities and presence is clear, right? I mean, Eli's here, and which is so fun to see. It's nice to have an advocate. So this program is definitely making an impact on Leland and Grace students so far. Here are just some other shots of the group. One thing that I really love about this style of teaching is that you learn that, or you see that you can learn anywhere, right? Like, we're sitting in a rain garden in the middle of the lower 9th ward right here in the Bunny Friend neighborhood, and it's school, right? They're taking notes, they're thinking critically, they're making connections. All of it is happening right there. It's happening on the train. It's happening at this oyster shell pile. It's happening in Midtown Manhattan. It's happening on the boat launch. It's like you can learn anywhere, and I think that that's a skill for kids to go out into the world knowing that like school learning continues, right? You graduate from high school, you graduate from college, you get your PhD, fine. You still can learn, right? And to be able to make sense of that while you're anywhere, I think is a nice thing to pick up. This is a little snapshot of our pontoon cabin. There were definitely alligators swimming all around underneath us, which was very fun. It was safe, don't you think? So this year, we're shifting gears a little bit, and this is going to be this semester academy that I was charged to do when I was hired. That it has a sort of an essence of Journey East in that it's a semester-long class. We'll be with the students 3 of the 4 blocks every day. They'll start their day with Natural History of Vermont with Bruce Whitman. And then Journey Away students will join Laura Tabachnik and I to participate in an integrated semester course where they'll get 20th century social studies credit, math credit, and an English credit, along with that Natural History of Vermont credit. We'll be in Vermont for about 8 weeks before we pick up, and go back down south. This time we're going to go to Alabama, to Birmingham, to Jackson, Mississippi, and to New Orleans, back down to the Delta, and then to Vietnam, and then to France. And we're studying food systems and culture. So we're looking at how food is grown, produced, distributed, prepared, and consumed. And the idea is, well, there's a few reasons for this. Food is like so much part of Vermont culture, right? That's like the idea of terroir, which is a French word for of the land. And it means that like when you use terroir related to food, it's that food is special because it comes from a particular place. And Vermont is like all about it, right? Like Scott Farm apples are like, whew, the best, right? And maple syrup from the Hazeltons is, I think it's from the Hazeltons. That's who we gave out that gift to all the people we interviewed on our trip. Is the best, right? And so on and so forth. Jasper Hill cheese, Shelburne Farm cheese, right? The cows are eating the pasture that's on the shores of Lake Champlain, and that makes it the best. And so Vermont has this food culture already with CSAs and agriculture, with CNS Wholesale. The entire refrigerator department for all of New England is sitting in Brattleboro, Vermont, which is wild. Commonwealth Dairy, which is also in Brattleboro, is part of a global dairy company, Lactalis. And so being able to show our students what careers exist on the whole spectrum of grown, produced, distributed, prepared, and consumed makes a lot of sense. And we also have in-house resources with Jake Galligley, being a professionally trained chef, and really excited to work with the kids on this kind of project. The whole gamut, right? Food Connects being a local food distributor right in town, also part of the gamut. We also were invited to participate in the Farm to School Institute at Shelburne Farms over the summer. So it was myself, Jenna Webb, who is our librarian, Alicia Carey, our social worker, Elizabeth Brown, a math teacher, and Jake Galligley, the food service coordinator. And with all of our caps on, we were able to build this farm to school program here at Leland and Gray, which is very much emerging, and Journey Away is very much part of it, right? This is more the anthropological arm, if you will, where some of the other teachers are doing other things. When we get back to Vermont after traveling, we'll put the garden together, which I'll get to tending the garden in a moment. So again, we're going to go down to the south and then go to Vietnam. We're also studying 20th century social studies, so to have a chance to look at the Vietnam-American War in Ho Chi Minh City is going to be something else. And then to France, where France also has a rich history of terroir and a rich culture of terroir, the food being special from a particular place. A lot of our itinerary is somewhat open, especially in France. So if you have connections or suggestions, I'm wide open to them. Vietnam is a little bit more dialed in. I have a former student who's Vietnamese, and her housemate is someone who puts together tours like this. So he and I are talking on Thursday to sort of map out our itinerary. The idea is that we'll be able to compare and contrast the Mekong Delta and the Mississippi Delta. And I don't know if you all know this, there's a very large Vietnamese population in East New Orleans after they were resettled in New Orleans after the Vietnam-American War. So New Orleans has this Vietnamese culture already, and some of that is because of the river life. So that's kind of how these all got tied together. I've also been to these places, which is helpful when you're taking a group of students. I'm very familiar with Vietnam, and I've taken students to France before, so that's helpful. I also know we're spending 3 days in Paris because those bookings are starting to happen now. So if you have anything food related, again, the spectrum is wide. Really in any of these places, I'd be happy to hear them, or any connections you have, programmatically related. So the funding plan, this is obviously not free. It is, however, free to our students. There's a sliding scale that we are asking families to contribute something if they're able. I think that there are a handful of families that won't be able to contribute anything. Every student is required to pay for their passport. That's the only expense that's going to definitely happen for these families. I'm taking 2 girls to the Brattleboro post office tomorrow to get their passports applications turned in, which is pretty exciting. And these are things that the passport is something they'll have for the next 10 years. So these kids will be 28 when their passport expires, which is cool. Oh yes, the funding plan. So I've broken it down. You'll also have a copy of this on your papers here and there's more notes on your page. The idea is that we're looking at partnerships to offset some of the costs. So far, I've connected with, there's a 4-H program called Oh Yeah, I think that's the name they're sticking with. And the idea is to get students in Vermont and Maine interculturally connected through agriculture, which is like, wow, that's like basically what we're doing here. And so it's very Vermont centric. And it's unclear exactly what that will look like, but it looks like a lot of our transportation to Vermont farms and distribution centers will be able to come through that program. Shelburne Farms in NOFA, which is who hosted the Farm to School Institute, they've given us some money as well. And then Food Connects, this district already pays for a Food Connects coach. And that coach has been invaluable programmatically and also helping out with grant writing and seeing grants that come through that might be related to this. So that's helpful. Program fees, this is the sliding scale. We're expecting to get anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000. It'll probably be more on the $10,000 side of things. District contributions, which is the number $31,000 is what you all have been putting into the Journey East, formerly Journey East Fund, for, I don't know how long you've been doing that, but there's a decent pot of money in there right now because of that $31,000. My salary, which I hope that you'll find to be a useful thing, and we'll tuck that into the budget for next year. And then also the teaching staff, Laura Tabachnik being able to teach with me in the spring and travel. We're also looking for chaperones to come with us, and it looks like it makes the most sense for Laura and I to be the 2 consistent chaperones, and then the 3rd chaperone will be a rotating person. I don't think I'm going to drop any names quite yet because nothing is confirmed. So, but they'll hopefully all come from in-house. So we're also getting more teachers familiar with the short-term study abroad thing, so they're able to do this in subsequent years as well. I found this wonderful ally, Andy Barker, at the Vermont Community Foundation. He set up and founded the City and Lake program in South Burlington High School, which is a public school, obviously, and it's a semester academy program very similar to Journey East. That was an integrated curriculum looking at Burlington and the city and then at the lake, so natural and social history. Now he's left that program and now works in philanthropy with the Vermont Community Fund. And he is very charmed by this program and also is a massive advocate for this type of education, which is huge for him to be like, look at this, right? That's how this all kind of comes together. And he's been able to point me in the direction of a lot of different grants that will be writing with the students. We've been meeting together once a week during our PBL time, which is 100 minutes, goes very fast once a week, but we're going to be able to use that time to do some grant writing together later in November. Community fundraising, we started this past weekend at the Heritage Festival. We raised $650 with our a 50-50 raffle. That was fun. That was very easy. We're also having a community dinner at the town hall on November 3rd. I hope you all will buy a ticket. It's $20 for adults, $10 for kids. It will be locally sourced food. The students and Jake will be preparing and serving the meal. There's 2 seating times, one at 5:30, one at 7. You'll hear from me again to buy your ticket. But please do put that note on the calendar. It'll be a really lovely evening. So we're aiming to raise $15,000 through that. We also have an online fundraising platform on 99 Pledges, so we'll be doing an online fundraiser as well. And then we're also looking for private donations and line item sponsorships. So finding people that are interested in supporting the program that might have the resources to do so. So if you all know of people, places that I should be reaching out to, please get in touch with me. You all know this community so much more than I do. I have some people tell me some names here and there, and I would love to hear more as you have recommendations. So the next piece of this, that's journey away, right? And then journey to stay is the inbound piece, which it does not need to stay that way. It just rhymes, so it's stuff. I'm open to suggestions. So Keegan Eaker, who is a middle school teacher in the 8th grade, her classroom's just right over here, a lovely spot if you want to poke your head in. She has been in this program that's connected, I think it's out of the University of Illinois or something like this. And last year and this year, she's been connected with teachers around Europe. It's USA and Europe. And she's become friends with some teachers in Lithuania. She's Zooming with the Lithuanian students. They're preparing Lithuanian meals and some crock pots in her classroom, which has been really neat. I think this started last year, so some of the students got to have their Lithuanian pen pal kind of thing in the classroom. And so this year, Keegan came to me and asked if I would be interested in helping out with some sort of summer camp or hosting the Lithuanian students to come here, which of course, I was over the moon. So I have been in touch with a teacher at, let's see if I can even say this, Erutio Liceidžius Kanaus in Kanaus, Lithuania, which is in the eastern part of Lithuania, which is a tiny country. It's part of the Baltic states. You all can take the International Quiz Booth quiz over there later to see if you can get all the Baltic states. So we're going to be inviting them here this summer for 2 weeks. And the idea is that they will do a little sightseeing in Boston and come up to Vermont, where they will work with a group of Leland and Gray High School students to build a day camp for the elementary school kids. So 1 week will be high school students, Lithuanian and our students, making a summer camp, day camp. And then the second week will be hosting the summer camp for the little kids. So the little kids, and it'll have an intercultural feel to it, right? So the younger students will have a chance to get to know the Leland and Gray High School students and also these Lithuanian high school students. During that second week of summer camp, the idea is that the Lithuanian students will do homestays. So we'll need to find some homestay families for these Lithuanian students. It should be good fun. I'm pumped. Lithuania was not a country on my radar. And I went on a deep dive and I'm like, yes, I will go to Lithuania. So some other things that I have been doing as part of this sort of journey away intercultural thing at Leland and Gray is the International Quiz Booth. Every Friday, 3 Fridays a month, thereabouts, I set up a table that looks pretty much exactly like that one with the globe on it back there during middle school and high school lunch, and all the kids will come by and take this little quiz. This week's quiz was about the Baltic states, Scandinavian countries, and the countries that make up England. There's always a bonus question that's a little bit hard. Eli White is always the winner. He's going to have to run the booth, so he can't play. And it's good fun, and it's built a vibe, and kids are looking at maps and getting excited about the world, which is thrills me to no end. And so Lewis asked if I would run an after-school class around this idea of the International Quiz Booth. And I was like, well, that's great, because then the kids can do the work and make the quiz booth happen, which is project-based learning, right? That is the whole point of education, in my mind, is to give it to the kids and then support them as they get things done. So we're starting the Cultural Exploration Club next week, and so we'll build the quiz booth during the club. It's going to be Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. It's middle school kids. We'll build the quiz booth, and we'll also likely do some farm to school related stuff as it relates to intercultural things. So we might do something like, where are people from in Brattleboro that Like, let's go to the Hannaford in Brattleboro and see what sort of international food we can find and make some meal or something like that. Cooking is always fun. Jake is a fantastic resource. And it will like give kids a sensibility that there is more diversity here in Vermont than maybe we see on a everyday basis. I'm going to also let them kind of tell me what they want to do as it relates to intercultural stuff. So we'll see. It starts on Monday. Should be fun. And so this is sort of the future of Journey Away, Journey to Stay. Again, we can change the name if it's too, we can't change Journey Away at this point, but the Journey to Stay. Though I kind of like it. So this spring 24 is the Journey Away Academy, Food Systems and Culture. Summer 24, Lithuanian Summer Camp. Fall, spring 25, maybe we'll do a Lithuanian exchange and take a group of kids to that school in Lithuania. One thing about that school is that it's a very well-resourced private school. So this is like basically like the parents want the teacher to take the kids for 2 weeks. So it's like summer camp kind of thing, right? So it's well-resourced, they'll pay for everything, which we may actually be able to take care of some program costs because of that. Build that into sort of what it costs to put together this trip. And also that reciprocity, right? If the Lithuanian students are doing homestays here, I mean, don't you want to see their house too? So maybe we can figure that out. And the teacher is enthusiastic about it. So summer 25, I would love to take this Lithuanian summer camp, what I just described, the 2-week thing, and make it a bigger thing. The dream really is to have a multicultural group. So Lithuanian students, maybe students from Birmingham, Alabama, maybe some students from France. Vietnam is tricky because of visa stuff and sort of diplomacy stuff. So that would have to be further down the line. But to get a really international group of students coming together for a summer camp, where it's leadership camp for part of it and then hosting that day camp for younger kids for the second part of it. I think that getting the younger kids, of course, is always something we want to do. And actually with the Cultural Exploration Club, that might be something that we're able to join up with some laughter program stuff and maybe like run a laughter day or with that sort of intercultural piece. We'll see. Transportation, that's coming up. So that would be in the summer of 25, that bigger summer camp would launch. And then fall of 25 would be the next semester-long academy. The idea is that these semester-long courses run every 18 months. So while a student is in high school, they can choose if they want to do Journey Away in the spring or Journey Away in the fall. They can choose if they want to do it when they're a sophomore or a senior or a junior. They'll have some choice as far as what itinerary they might like to do. And also like sports is part of it. Like if they can't miss the soccer season, but maybe baseball's a little easier, there's some options there, which is why that fall and spring thing is built in. Let's see what else we've got. Some other things that I am excited to put some effort towards. A lot of this is what you've seen already. This faculty-led course-linked or PBL trips, really supporting teachers in building field courses for their classes. So I can take care of the logistics, I can take care of some of that classroom on the boat or in the rain garden kind of piece to it, having those systems set up. Then we don't need to go and pay a company like EF to take care of those logistics, right? We're able to tailor make our programs ourselves here. And I know that this school and the teachers at the school have such a history of these kind of programs. And from what I understand, it sounds like EF was a big component of that. Fine, that's one way to do it. And for us to really be able to build that ourselves is something special, especially with the resources we have in our faculty that are able to, they already know how it is to travel with kids abroad. They've done it a bunch of times, right? So getting that back in action. And then this community partnerships and donor relations is a pretty important piece. That is how funding gets sustained, right? That's how people know about what's happening here, and keeping in touch. One thing one of the challenges has been not having any sort of database. Like, who were the people that were in Journey Way? The word of mouth thing is great. You all are able to rattle off lots of lists of names, but that doesn't give me their email address. It doesn't give me their phone number. I don't know what town they live in. I can't remember their last name, whatever it is, right? So being able to keep track of all of our donors and maybe even get it into Alma somehow, some sort of database that we can all access that over time, right? So should I get hit by a bus, God forbid, you all have the information, right? So that's something that I definitely want to focus on. And then the next piece of this is something that I found in the sort of research for how to get this funded, is this idea of full service community schools. So community schools, from what I can tell, it's sort of emerged out of COVID, right? It's this idea that school is a place where that a lot of your kids' needs are being met, especially in a public school, right? Where there are a lot of families at Leland and Gray who do work really long hours and they need to have their kids cared for a longer period of time. Or the simple fact that we're serving 2 meals a day to kids here and they're taking us up on it. We're giving out 400 bags of groceries a week, right? Like, this is like, clearly there's that need and desire, and also the fact that the school already is a hub. So much of what we do at Leland and Gray fits into this idea of a community school. So we've got Journey Away, which is integrated curriculum that expands beyond the classroom. That's one of the tenets of a full-service community school. We've got meals, kids being able to eat at school. We've got project-based learning. Again, it's that extended learning beyond the classroom. Project Bike Tech, that's a career-focused class. VEMSA, career-focused class. The home program is very much part of this, as far as, again, that sort of expanded beyond traditional learning, especially for kids that are neurodivergent. The after-school programming to extend the day a little bit longer. And then the career counseling, multiple pathways. This is just stuff we do, right? And so for us to be able to put ourselves into a full service community school grant, it's not much really needs to happen. It's just an organizational thing. These awards are big. They're millions of dollars, right? They're funding the whole thing, right? So this would be obviously conversations with Lori about the budget and all of that sort of thing, to sort of figure out like what money we already have to run the school and how does this overlay. They're announcing in January if they're going to offer this again for the next fiscal year. This is a federal government grant. Vermont also had a very similar grant opportunity through the AOE. I think it was in 2021, and it was called the Community Schools Grant. And there's maybe 3 schools that are pilot schools for this program. I think it's a 3-year pilot program, which would be bringing us to 2024, right? So hopefully that will pop up again for Vermont. I think this is perhaps a lobbying thing. I'm not totally sure how to do that, but this might be the time to call your representatives and tell them that community schools are the way to go. You know what? I think that would be a fantastic thing for our school to take part in, because again, we're already doing it. It's already happening. It's just a matter of that organizational piece, and that would get projects like Journey Away funded, right? It would get Project Ski Tech tacked on to Project Bike Tech. Beef up the VEMSA program. And also, this is all of these programs here, including Journey Away, especially Journey Away. I can't be not biased. But really all of these programs are making the school quite attractive, right? And now I have my PR cap on, which I don't know if you all know, I have a PR stipend to promote the school district, specifically Leland and Gray, but the whole school district. And if we're able to articulate ourselves out to Dover, to, what are the other schools that have choice, right? Wardsboro, Marlboro, all of these schools, right? If we're able to make ourselves the place that they want to come to school because of they can participate in all of these programs, we're going to get more kids choosing to come to Leland and Gray. And if we get 10 kids coming to Leland and Gray, I mean, what is that? That's like $200,000 for 1 year? Like, great, that's Journey Away right there. And so, and we have space for it, right? We've got 271 students, and anybody know what the cap is? 300? Anyone? 500? 700? I don't know if there's that many people in this area. Okay, so there's space, right? So I think we're definitely on the right track. I think in this post-COVID world we're in, like this Leland and Gray did the pivot and is doing it. It's my year that I've been here, I'm incredibly impressed with the enthusiasm and motivation of my colleagues. And it's been really fun to sort of dream things up and then make it happen. And then also do that with the students through this project-based learning stuff of getting them to dream things up and then having them do the thing, like Pumpkin Festival this weekend, an entirely student-run, coordinated thing. We'll see how it goes. I hope it doesn't pour down rain. So that is Journey Away. That's what I have for you all today. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I hope you'll take a look at the papers before you and keep in touch.
Thank you.
Great.
That's great. Really appreciate it. Any questions? Yes.
How many students are currently enrolled?
Currently, we have 13 students. We would like 15 students. There was a little bit of an add drop there, so we have space for 2 students. There's a homeschool student that's expressing interest, but it's a matter of figuring out what district he's part of and figuring out if that's actually something that can happen. I would, again, just as far as this price per pupil, that would be great if we could get that tuition. Is it called tuition? Price per pupil? Whatever it's called, the money. And it's also, he's a fantastic kid. He was helping us fundraise at Heritage Festival. And then we'll find 1 other student, and then 3 adults. So it'll be 18 people in total, 15 students is the goal.
And I know it says in your paperwork that like this is open to everybody, but we're talking about 15 students. So if there was, 20 that applied or whatever, I'm assuming you wouldn't necessarily every time be able to take every person who applied.
Yeah.
And so do you have thoughts of, next year or just, expanding it, or I'm just curious. It sounds like you're doing wonderful things, and I want everyone, and like literally everyone, to get this opportunity.
Yeah. So a few things. One, so anyone who wanted to participate could apply, right? So anyone can go money-wise, right? There's no like charge for this, which is what I really mean when I say it's open to everyone, right? The students had to fill out a questionnaire of short answer questions really about why they wanted to participate in Journey Away, how do they manage themselves, how do they function properly in the day-to-day, right? Can they tie their shoes and pack their backpack and keep track of their belongings sort of questions. And they also filled out a personalized learning portfolio that talked a little bit more about how they are as a learner, what classes they've taken, things like that. And then they had to get a teacher recommendation. And there are some students there's some question marks around. And I think that this type of learning, this type of school is different enough to re-engage students that maybe are not so traditionally inclined, which is great. So it's sort of okay, this kid is not doing well currently, but that maybe this is the answer. But there is a bit of an admission process, just as far as making sure that this is somebody that like I feel comfortable taking out into the world and they're not gonna go bananas, right? They've also signed a commitment agreement that says they won't have their phones for the entire trip, except for on travel days. And they can't have their phones during PBL time. They give their phone to me immediately when they walk in the door. And some of the other things in the commitment agreement are really around generosity of spirit. They also cannot have any sort of, if they are currently having issues with vaping of any kind, that's something that they need to start a cessation program right away. So it's sorted out before they go. So a lot of this type of stuff is, it's rigid, right? It's not nothing. And a lot of kids are like, no phone, no way, right? I'm not going on this trip, which there were a few kids that petered off right away. And I've also found that some kids, there's a lot of kids that come to the quiz booth and like to talk with me about the world, but they do not want to go anywhere. That's like, they're not there yet, right? And which, that's fine, I get it. I didn't even go abroad till I was 21 years old. Like, I get it, right? And I love that they're still engaged. They can tell you what every single flag in the world is. They can, like, they know their geography. And I love that, like, we can, like, look at the maps and sort of, it's like armchair tourism, is that what you call it? Which is lovely. And I think that that's, like, a part of the motivation for the Journey to Stay piece is, like, come here, you get to be the host. Hosting is a little bit different than traveling, right? And so being able to have that experience, I think will help. If this becomes something where I have to, like, there's like 60 kids that are applying every year, which because we're bringing in all these kids from Wardsboro and Marlboro, maybe that will become the case. I suppose we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but right now it seems like the right amount. And I think also once these systems get built and dialed in, it might be really easy to do one of these every semester, which would be great. I personally can't travel for 6 weeks every single semester, that's too much, but if it's dialed in and we're able to really build this program seamlessly into what we do here, maybe that would work to do like a split position or something, I don't know. The details of that could get worked out. Yeah.
So Journey to Gray, I think is what it should be called.
Oh, no, Journey to Gray. Journey to Gray to Stay.
Yeah, right.
We'll make some poems about it.
So I did have a thought, and I'm sure this is a no, but on the food service money that was discussed earlier, I am sure that's probably just for capital needs. I'm just going to guess. But since this is so food related, I just wasn't sure if there's any possibility that some of those funds could be directed this way. I don't know. Again, that's probably highly unlikely, but.
Laura's head just exploded up.
Yeah, right.
Well, but we can do some negotiating. I'll do some negotiating with Jake because the farm to school money is for our whole team. And he wants to slough some off for there, but I'll say, you got your tables. I'll take one. But maybe, I don't know if that works.
At the very least, the garden that you're going to build after.
Yeah, and actually that's one thing that we're hoping to do with some of the money from, actually I think it was a Let's Grow Kids grant that we got for Farm to School. We're going to build a hoop house. So we'll be able to extend the growing season. And likely we want to put it a little bit closer to the cafeteria so it's easier to access, especially if there's like slippery grounds than the garden, which is a little bit down below. We're also talking about connecting the outdoor classroom, so maybe relocating the outdoor classroom closer to the garden so it can be sort of a classroom and a garden. Jenna Webb, who is the librarian, she's currently running an exploratory for middle school students that's farm to school. So the kids are down in the garden and playing with the pumpkins and doing some other stuff. I'm not entirely sure what their curriculum is all about, but the kids always come back into the library with these massive squashes, and so it's taking shape, which is fun. Anything else?
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. My pleasure.
I'll give you your screen back.
And we have a laughter program update. And who would be giving that?
Well, I think he submitted a report, which is in your packet.
Okay.
I don't know. He wasn't feeling well when I saw him today, so it might be that he was under the weather.
Okay.
So I don't know. Laura, you didn't hear anything from Jamie today, did you?
No.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can just report out that he's underway, and he's a bundle of energy, this guy, and he is he's rocking it, and we got programs running, and high school kids working, other staff working, and so yeah. But he did issue a report, and yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. I don't have anything additional to say.
It was quite the report out.
Yeah, like I said, he's very energetic.
Yeah, incredible. Okay, so we are a little bit behind on time, so I would say on the principal reports and superintendent report, I think probably everybody had a chance to read those. And I just want to say and commend you folks for those wonderful one-pagers. For the most part, were very concise, all the information on one page, easier for us to read through and understand the most important things that are happening at each of the schools. So appreciate that. Did anybody else have any questions or comments?
And Scotty, I excused Scotty tonight because today's his birthday, and so his wife was taking him out for dinner. So I told him he could pass tonight.
All right, free pass. All right, I guess we will move on then to policies. And
actually, Al, before you do that, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
Lori was asking me about this, and I was 99% certain that I mentioned this last time, but if I didn't, I want to just mention again, having to do with, did we talk about the business office reorg or the plan for Lori, or no?
I'm trying to remember if we touched on that. I don't think we did touch on it last time. Yeah, that's probably good to read.
So I guess I was 99% wrong. So I've been reporting out to the boards that Lori has, after 20 years, has given us her notice. But she's given us quite a bit of notice. She is going to depart at the end of December of 24. So she gave us a pretty good lead up to that. So first, I just want to publicly, obviously, thank her. And we'll have numerous more opportunities to do so in the coming, 18 months or 16 months. But for the fantastic job that she has done for this district and the entire SU. She will be stepping away. One of the things that we are planning to do is to post for that position to start on July 1. So there's an overlap of the first 6 months of the year to get someone up to speed with that. And that will obviously have budget implications on the SU budget. And then the other piece of news which is kind of related, regarding staffing in the central office, business office, is that back when we had a person who served as the halftime assistant business manager, halftime HR, that was just going into COVID. When that person left, we did not replace the assistant business manager side of that. HR became a full-time job. We do have someone in-house that is already with us that we're promoting to call assistant business manager, to also help take some of that load off. And as a result of that, there is a halftime person that we are going to be increasing to full-time mid-year this year, mid-fiscal year, to kind of backfill some of those gaps. So the changes for you guys of this fiscal year, we have an increase from a half person to a full person. That will happen midway through the year. So it's really like a quarter increase, if you will. And then next fiscal year, we'll be adding the new finance manager on in July. So there'll be a 6-month overlap with Lori. So that'll have an implication for the next fiscal year as well. So we wanted to report out and again publicly thank Lori for the work of the mergers, the finance system change, cleaning up stuff that had been in place before her, and doing so with complete professionalism, grace, and almost always a smile on her face.
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. You'll be sick of me by the time I leave.
Never.
So that now that she's a short timer in that regard, she'll tell us what she really thinks, right?
I mean, you've been holding back.
Never.
Now I'm scared.
You all know I wear my heart on my sleeve. Always have been.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. I'm gonna sign off.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right, so moving on to policies. Bob, I don't know if you want to give a preamble to this, but I guess it was discovered that we had a number of required as well as recommended policies that we did not have as part of our policy.
Yeah. So yeah, I did a policy review of each of the districts this fall, and just a quick analysis of where people were as far as required ones, and then and just threw out a couple of recommended ones as well. So you guys, here's just kind of the list of the first up through C7 in this list are the required ones, and then after that are some recommended ones, which, as I recall, I think I'm just pull up my little document. I think you guys may have had them, but they were old, and so we wanted to just update them with some new language ones. So some of these are just replacing older ones. Yeah, well, actually, so those three, let me correct myself. Those three, you guys, according to the website, had warned them in 2018, but they were not, according to the documents themselves, did not show them being adopted. I'm sure they were, but it was not recorded as such on the documents on the website. And simultaneously, in the time since 2018, those three model policies have been tweaked by the VSBA. So this basically, I just thought we'd throw those three in there. You already have them. They were tweaked languages from the VSBA, and then the other 6 are ones that are required that either do not exist or there's some new versions out there that should be upgraded. So that's the slate that we wanted you guys to warn. And then F4 was a new one this year that I think we remember when we came to you guys, it had an option in it that we took out, but then somewhere we forgot to bring it back without the option and warn it. So it covers that one as well. So yeah, this warning this month will get you these warned, and then next month for an adoption, you'll be caught up on all the legally required policies as well as updating the recommended ones that you already had. And then you guys as a board can talk about other ones you want to consider, and you can put together a policy committee and do that work if you wish, but at least you'll be up to date.
Which website?
The WCSU website, which is the official holder of the policies. The West River Ed website, which we discovered at a meeting a couple months ago, had some things that were not the same, now points to the WCSU website as far as the policies go. So we only have one website as far as policies now. Depending on which way you come at it, you get to the same end.
Well, that's progress. Yeah.
We're getting there, Drew. And the next step after the policy review for me was to develop procedures. And as we mentioned, also at that same board meeting, some of these policies reference the superintendent will develop procedures, and there weren't any. So I'm in the process of putting together a procedure manual that I'll share with the principals once that's up and running. And I'll update you guys when that's done so you know.
Thanks, Bob. Do we need a motion for each one, or can we just do a motion for the slate as you described it?
I don't know. I would ask earlier.
I think as long as we list each one,
Okay. All right.
motion should include the numbers.
Okay.
The numbers.
All right. So if somebody can make a motion to for the slate, naming each of the policy numbers.
Through C7 or through A22? All the way down to A22?
All the way.
Okay.
Yeah, every one of them.
I can make a motion to warn policies F4, B without the option, B8, C15, D7, C4, C7, A20, A21, and A22.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah.
Leanne?
Yep.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none? No. Sarah?
Has our policy committee looked at these yet?
Do we have a policy committee?
I don't believe we have a policy committee. Yeah, that may be another order of business.
I thought Peter was our policy committee.
He's solo. Rhiann disagree with himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll have to read them before we approve them next month.
That's right.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. All right, we have now come to the time of public comment. The floor is yours. No?
Watch them dive under the chairs.
Hey, look at that, now you're back on schedule.
Yeah, right, just like that.
Wow, exactly.
Boom, 8:15.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, yes, so we will be going into executive session, so let me read the motion. I move to find that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or a person involved at a substantial disadvantage per 1 VSA 313(1)F.
You have to second and vote on that particular one, then move to the second one.
So Joe's second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. I motion to enter an executive session for confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the body.
Second.
Joe second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously.
Is there action coming out of this?
There will not be action coming out of it, I don't believe, but Al, you need to identify who you want in that.
All right, folks, we're back out of executive session, it's all done, and there is no action to take out of executive session. So I will entertain
A motion to adjourn.
Final motion.
Second that?
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. See you next time, folks.